Hey guys, Soil here from Momo Cars. Today we're going to talk about credit. By credit I mean your credit report. And I'm going to focus the video on talking to a younger demographic because I see a lot of people at this car dealership that come and do financing and they don't really understand credit or they don't know what their own credit is like, or they really wish they knew some of these things earlier, or at least even a few months before they were thinking about the car purchase, so that way they could better prepare themselves. So we've all heard about our credit. What does it mean? It's obviously very important. We're going to talk about the contents of a credit report, of your credit report, and what it's made out of, and then a little bit of advice on whatnot. So your credit report starts, generally speaking, it starts when you get your first credit account. What's a credit account? A cell phone bill where you pay monthly, a credit card where you have to pay monthly, a student loan, a loan that you take on, a car loan, a house mortgage. All these are credit accounts. So as long as you have a credit account, you have a credit report. Until you get a credit account, even if it's just a cell phone bill, you don't have a score. You have no qualifying account. So it's not that your score is zero, it's just that you don't have an account. So say you're 39 years old and you get your first credit card. Well, your credit, the age of your credit is only as old as that. So it might only be a month old or a year old. So one of the things that matters on a credit report is your credit score. And the credit score is determined by a few different factors. And that's really what we're going to focus on today. 3 different things. The first thing is the age of your accounts. What does that mean? Exactly what I just said. If you're 39 years old and you've only had a credit card or a credit cell phone or a loan for 1 month, your credit history is only 1 month old. If you're 18 years old and you get your first credit card, I don't care if it's a $300 credit card or $500 credit card, or if it's a cell phone bill that you only pay $20 a month for, your credit file has officially started at 18 years old. And when you're 30 years old, it is 12 years old, and that's an awesome thing. Because when your credit file is 12 years old, you have mature credit. It's called thick credit, or it's also called it's just good. Because banks and people who want to give you a loan will look at your credit profile and say, okay, this person has had a credit card for 12 years, and this is their payment history, and this is everything else. So the age of your account matters a lot, and for this single purpose, especially for young people, I highly recommend get your credit profile started. Okay, so at 18 years old, you can pretty much go to your own bank and get a credit card. They'll almost always issue you a $500 credit card as long as you have at least a part-time job or a full-time job. And it might not be a big card, it might be a $500 card, but it gets your credit started. And I could tell you it's almost, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's very difficult to get a car loan if your credit history is less than 7 months old. Okay, so if you're completely fresh and you want to go get a car loan, you still can, but it's much more difficult if you have 0 credit files less than or more than 7 months old. So get a credit card. Now, does it have to be a credit card? No, because if you have a cell phone bill, not a prepaid cell phone card, if you have a cell phone bill like Fido or Rogers, they report if you're making your payments on time and how much payments you're making to your credit profile. So if you have a cell phone and you don't have a credit card, well, you have some credit building. Is it as good as a credit card? No, because there is an inequality of different loans. So a credit card is going to help you build your credit better than a cell phone. Nevertheless, we're going to move on to the second thing. So the age of your credit matters. The second thing that really matters is utilization. What do I mean? You have a $500 credit card you just got. If you have $499 used up on that $500 credit card, you have like a 99% utilization or 98%. That's very high. You don't want that. Your credit score will go down if you have a very high utilization. Now, but I need to go buy something that's $499. Well, okay, buy it, but then pay it off very quickly before it shows up on your statement. The credit card companies only report to the credit bureaus, like to the, to your Equifax report, to your credit score, once a month. That's when generally speaking, is when your statement closes. So if you get a credit card and you have $400 used up on there, and you have it for like a month, and your credit statement comes out saying, hey, you owe $400, well, that's going to go on your credit bureau, and your utilization is going to show up at a very high percentage, like 98%, and that's not good, because a score is a representative of how good you are with credit. And if you're using 98% of your available credit, that's not a good thing. That's a scary thing to banks. When you go get a car loan and they see, here's the worst thing. You have a $500 credit card and you owe $501, like $502. That's the worst. Like, banks hate that. Like, they see that, they think like this is insane. And your score actually goes down quite a bit. Even that $1 will make a difference, especially if you go over. Nevertheless, what this really means in the more midterm, or like the future advice, is if you're constantly maxing out your $500 credit card, that's fine as long as you're paying it all off. You can upgrade your credit card. You can go and request to upgrade the limit to $1,000. Because if you have a $1,000 credit card and now you're constantly using $400, now you only have 40% utilization, and that's totally awesome, because a 40% utilization doesn't sound nearly as bad as a 98% utilization. See what I'm saying? Second thing we're talking about. Third thing. So we talked about the age of your account, we talked about utilization, and now we're going to talk about late payments. If you ever have a late payment on your credit card or your cell phone, it is going to show up on your credit profile, and your score is going to go down big time. It's going to go down big time, especially in the early years, because you don't have that much credit history. So if you've only had a credit card for 1 year, and of the 12 months, 1 month you had late, I mean, that's a high percentage. That's, like 8% late, generally speaking, right? If you've had a credit card for 15 years and you've only had 1 month that was ever late ever, that's not that big of a deal. Although it will still hurt your credit and it will still show up on your credit profile, that's not nearly as bad as I was late, and all I have is a cell phone bill for the last 6 months. Don't be late. Some of you guys are saying, shit, I'm late. I've already been late. I've already have a late payment on my credit profile. Well, the good news is that like at least 60% of the people I talk to have gone through that mistake. They have had a cell phone bill that's like, they billed them like $1,000 because they use data in USA or something, and they had an argument, so they had a late payment, or the cell phone bill went to collections. Well, you can still fix that. We're not going to talk about rebuilding credit right now. We're talking about that in another video, but it's not the end of the world if you have a late payment or something else. I mean, there's a number of things that come into place when you're getting, especially a car loan, that is not just about your credit score. It's about your income, your work, and you can overcome a lot of these things by getting a cosigner. But all in all, I mean, one of the reasons I'm making this video is I just hear too many people saying, I wish I knew this before, I would have never missed that payment. Oh, that silly payment that I missed. Even if you have a $10 late payment. Some of you get a credit card bill and it's you have $10 minimum payment. Like, it doesn't matter to them if you have a $1,000 late payment or a $10 late payment. A late payment shows up as a late payment, even if it's $1. And that's why I said, if you're $1 over your credit limit, it doesn't matter if you're $1,000 over or a dollar over. Over the limit is over the limit, and that hurts your score huge. Let's just quickly recap. Age of your accounts. Start early. If you have an OSAP loan, a lot of students will have an OSAP loan, like a student loan, that actually counts as your age of credit. So most people, if they don't already get a credit card when they're 18, the earliest account they have is an OSAP loan account, because it does show up on there. It shows that you have a $30,000 loan or $40,000 loan with OSAP, but it shows that you got it at you're 18, and that's actually a good thing, because by the time you graduate university, you have a 4-year, generally speaking, old account, which is a good thing. Some people say, well, you know what, this is great, so give me advice to go get a bunch of credit cards and and have low utilization on them. Yeah, that's true, but if you don't trust yourself with a credit card, and I can tell you at 18 years old, I probably didn't trust myself with a credit card, you shouldn't get a high credit card. And this is where a lot of people make a mistake, right? They are given a credit card that's $2,000, they've never had anything like this in their life, and they don't really understand how important it is to make payments on time, and then they go kind of wild, spending $1,500, racking up their credit card to $2,000, and then they lose their part-time job at McDonald's or wherever, and then they can't make the payments, and then down the hole their credit goes, and they'd say, crap, I shouldn't have spent all this money that I didn't have. And that's a very real thing. A simple way to get around it, and I did this myself, is get a credit card for a retail shop that you'll probably never shop at. Okay, so get your $500 credit card that you use regularly, a small one, and then if you want to lower your utilization, go to Best Buy, or I went to Sears back in the days. I went to Sears and I got a credit card from Sears, and it's actually really easy to get a Best Buy card or a Sears card because you can only use them at their location, so they issue them like much easier, I guess. And they gave me like a $2,000 Sears card, and I only had like a $500 regular TD credit card. And I was like, this is great. and I was never going to use it. So now what happens though, your utilization isn't just looked at per card, it's actually looked at as a whole. So what does that mean? I mean, if you get a $2,000 Sears card and a $1,000 regular credit card, your credit limit is $3,000. So when you only have $1,000 used up, even if you have $1,000 maxed out on your credit card, well, you only have 33% utilization, and that number matters because now your utilization is low as compared to seeming high. Little tricks for credit. We're going to talk about this a lot more in future videos, especially about rebuilding credit, but as of right now, I just want you to know the basics so then you can at least start asking the right questions or looking into it, at least being conscious about all this. That's all for now. Call us. Obviously, we talk about credit to customers all the time when they're buying cars. If you have any specific questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Cool? That's all for now. Take care.